Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. So this is a project that has been sitting around for like 2 years, I don't know. And a while back, I stripped down a couple of bikes, there's a video on that, and I ended up with this threaded black fork that I think is gonna have the right steerer length to replace this fork. So this is a Rockhopper FS, which is front suspension, but I don't have any threaded suspension forks and don't feel like messing around with the headset, blah, blah, blah. So I think this fork will work on this bike. So we're gonna start with that. Try to get this fork to work on this bike. And if it does, we're gonna tune this one up and get it ready for resale. So I think it's gonna be a good one. I'm actually considering maybe turning it into a comfort bike. We'll see what I decide. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll make some decisions along the way. So I hope that keeps things interesting for you. Stay tuned. Here we go. Okay, per the usual, we're gonna pop the wheels off. I don't believe, well, I still haven't decided what I'm gonna do. These tires, they look okay. Man, this would just really make a nice general purpose all-arounder bike. The problem would be all new cables. And with grip shift, it's a, you know, I just think if I put upright handlebars on it, I don't have a whole lot to play with here. But man, I've got some bars over there, some silver ones. We should probably do it. Well, let's start with the fork. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're gonna pop this fork off the bike. And then we'll reuse this headset. So I gotta pop this crown race off of this fork and put it on that other one. Yeah, you can see how short that steer tube is. I thought it would work and obviously it didn't. I don't always get it right. Okay. Oh yeah, these brakes. So it looks like the brakes, I didn't screw them all the way in because I, oh, dropped a bolt. Probably gonna drop this one too. Nope. Nope. Okay. Oh boy. There. We'll get this race off here quick. So I got an old screwdriver that I took apart. Makes for a good punch. Can go one side and the other. Ow! Hit my finger. Ow! Put the race on the new fork. That's the little adapter thing. And then that. And it's usually all it takes. It's always a good idea to grease the threads on your fork. Well, I think it would behoove us to use bearings on this headset. And we'll put some fresh grease on them. Fresh grease on the bearings here. Actually, looks like we've got a little bit of a dust cap thing there. All right, now we can put things together. I mean, it's definitely long enough, but is it too long? Are we gonna wanna cut it? That is the question. So maybe we can Get this out of the way. Grab a rubber band. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee this is gonna be too long. Right? But how much is the question. It's almost easier just to get a threadless headset and put a fork on it and, man, rethink this whole project. Save this fork for another one. You know, you cut the fork down and then it's cut down forever. So we'd have to put that many spacers in. That's a lot for a threaded headset. Oh, I don't know what to do. I kind of have some crazy ideas for this bike. Okay, I'm gonna stick with plan A. I went lots of places in my head here. This is a 7-speed bike with 7-speed wheels, and for all of the trouble that it would go through to do a new headset and blah, 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 I'd want it to be like 8, 9, 10, and there's other things that I would want to get out of it. So I found some spacers to avoid having to cut this fork, and I think we can get everything adjusted well, or well enough. I think we're gonna be okay. I think we'll be okay using what we've got. If I can get this to thread on. These threads are a little marred up. Just gotta get it started. There, okay. I have a feeling I'm gonna run out of threads and need a different spacer here. Yeah, okay. There you go, grab that other spacer. Hopefully this spacer has enough, leaves enough thread to get a good adjustment. Smush it all together. That feels really good. Yeah, I'm down with that. Can we still get the stem in there? This is what I'm talking about. Those cables are pretty short. Oh, I had this in there a minute ago. What the heck? Hey, ay, ay. See, it's never simple. Okay, back it off. We're gonna try some other spacers. These are keyed, so that's better too. Keyed and steel. Isn't that a comedy group? It's close. Actually, yeah. It's my first day fixing bicycles. I've never done this before. If you're new to the channel, it's good because I'm new to the craft. Let's see here. I'm gonna take this wrench and turn it into a hammer quick. Just start beating the crap out of this bike. Oh, nope, that's nice and cooperative for me. Hey, see, if at first you don't succeed. Now, do we have enough room? Yaha! Barely. Okay. And get this brake cable in its home here. Okay, bit of a choppy start to this video, but that's not bad. This stem is a little bit higher than its minimum insertion. So I'm gonna put it down. So this bike, the way it looks and the condition that it's in, it just really kind of wants to be a comfort bike, you know, upright handlebars, comfy saddle. But it's got this cable housing here where there's just not a lot of room for things to come up. It's risky. I guess I could try it. I've got some bars that come up with a sweep, and sometimes with that sweep it gives you a little bit more leeway. The problem is switching out shift cables on grip shifters is kind of a pain in the butt. And you know, you got to take everything apart and put new cables in. It's just a lot of time and effort. I probably could have had it done by now because I've been sitting here thinking about it for so long and yapping, but it's just, is it worth it? The other problem is with this stem, it doesn't have a cap that you can just pop off and easily swap the handlebars. Everything's got to come off. These brake levers tighten from the inside here. There's just a whole lot that's screaming, what a pain in the butt to convert this thing. And these are the bars that I'd want to put on it. It's really hard to get an idea. Yeah, I just don't think we have enough cable. I think we got to leave it the way it is. I think I will swap out these grips and make a more comfortable grip, or we just tune it up like this and sell it to a kid because kids don't care. That's probably the best bet. Okay, it's just going to be a general purpose bike for a kid. I still don't love the idea, but yeah. Using some Dawn power wash here. This bike has some grunge on it, so the power wash is a nice cleaner, degreaser, polish, and I just spray liberally and wipe it down good. Hey bike farmers, I just wanted to take this lull in the action to let you know how much I appreciate that you've clicked in to watch this video. Now that I've been at it a little bit, I'm starting to learn why everybody's always asking for more. The AdSense money is just barely enough to make it worth starting a channel. If I want to sustain this for the long term, I'm gonna need everyone's help. Now don't get me wrong, your attention is enough. Don't feel obligated to give more, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible. You can always click the super thanks, that's the heart with the $sign in the middle of it, or consider a monthly membership. The monthly membership will give you a little star next to your name, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. I'll see the star, and when I see it, I'll definitely give you an answer. You'll also have access to a little more behind the scenes action that non-members can't see. With all that said, thank you so much, and let's get back to some bikes. So to lube the cables with the wheels off the bike, it's really easy to just push the derailleur in. You can disconnect this one. You can feel these cables have been greased at some point, which isn't terrible. You know, it keeps rust at bay. I like to use Tri-Flow. It's a little bit lighter. Doesn't quite gum up like grease does. When things are loose, you can just disconnect it there, expose the cable. So lubing cables is a big part of the tune-up, I think. Front one you can usually get enough slack to disconnect it as well. This bike just has this front piece of housing and then a little bit the cable guide. Okay. Brake housing, same thing. That's a very clean cable. I think it feels like it's been replaced once before. Wonder how much tuning I did on this bike before I came across that fork issue. It feels pretty good, really. It was a while ago, I know that much. So we got everything done. Get her plugged back in. I guess another thing I can do right now is take some one step and spray down the derailleurs. One step is a cleaner and lubricant. It's just a nice general purpose, wake things back up. A bike that's been sitting a long time kind of lubricant. So I'm noticing that this seat is all the way back in the seat clamp, which means that it's loose, which it was. So that's just something I've learned over the years to look for. Make it good and tight. That's German for good and tight. Okay, I'm gonna put the brakes on this fork. These are the brakes I took off the old fork. Put a little grease in those threads. Here we go. Well, these are long brake bolts. Hopefully this thing's got a charge. Come on. Yikes. Maybe try the three-way here. Just do it the old-fashioned way. I always like to wiggle them around and work that grease in. I can feel on this one it's just not quite feeling good. Some squeaking. Gonna just spray it down with some one step. Get it all over the walls. So I got the rear wheel up here in the stand, and I heard my air compressor go off in the other room. You might be able to hear it in the background. Made me think, I should put some air in that tire and just kind of see what happens. These tires have a ton of tread left on them, and they're original to the bike and they're old, but you know, as long as nothing's cracking and the sidewalls aren't showing a ton of threads or anything, I think these tires are still okay. We might be able to get away with a pretty cheap little reconnoitering of this bike. Checking the wheel for true here. I'm gonna make a couple of tweaks, but it's really pretty straight. There's no big dents or wobbles or anything. There's just a few spots where it's not just exactly perfect. The gunk is pretty caked on this bike. So when the gunk is caked on, you need some degreaser action. When it's just dust that's resting on the surface, you can get away with, I always use furniture polish. Just lemony fresh pledge, or the cheapest stuff you can find. We may hit this one with a little bit of pledge at the end, but you can see things sudsing up. And I just wipe it off until it's gone. A lot of people ask if I rinse it afterwards, and no, I definitely don't. I don't think that's required. I don't know anybody else that uses Dawn Power Wash to clean a bike, but I've been using it, and for me it's been a game changer. I think it works great. And you'll notice this rag isn't super clean either. Doesn't need to be. The rag is damp, kind of acts as a bit of a tack cloth, so that aids while you're wiping as you go. You can clean things up. You know, like when you come across this reflector, has some buildup on it. I wipe each spoke too. Really helps bring a little bit of shine to the bike, especially once you get it out in the sunlight. Showing it to a customer, they really pop. And the spokes are clean. If the spokes are all full of grunge, then it just looks like a dirty bike. Nobody wants to buy a dirty bike. And if you're doing this as a hobby, that's fine. More power to you. But I make a living with it. And you can too. Nothing wrong with it. It's a win-win for everybody. You know, you go buy a bike that's not working at a garage sale for $100, take it home, spend an hour on it, maybe drop another 50 in parts, and then you can turn around and sell it for $350. And if you're a bike shop, you know, and you're insured, all of that, you know, you guarantee your work and build a customer base. People bring them back on trade, they upgrade, they get the next size for their kids. There's a business model there. And I have a really small town, and a lot of circumstances are stacked against me being successful at this in my little town, being so close to Trek. And, you know, I've just found that regular people don't really have a good place to go for bicycles. You know, they either go to Walmart and end up getting crap, or Dick's and end up buying something sort of halfway, maybe decent, but not assembled properly, and there's no real service department involved. Or they gotta go to the cycling store and deal with that. I'm right in between. I don't try to be a cycling store. I'm just focused on the bikes, getting the bikes working and selling them for a price that people can afford, and a bike that serves a purpose and doesn't focus on exercise or racing or anything. No categories, just a bike. And that's just a clean wheel to go on a bike. This here front wheel is gonna get the exact same treatment as that there rear wheel, starting with the air. Hey bike farmers, a quick note. If you're looking to get serious about fixing bikes at home, look no further than the Park Tool AK5 toolkit. I have an affiliate link in the description. This kit provides all the basic tools you'll need to tune up just about any of the bikes that you see on this channel. It also comes with the Big Blue Book of Bicycle Repair written by Calvin over at Park Tool. Also in the description are affiliate links for all the basic things that I use. The grease, the degreaser, the one step, the Dawn Power Wash, Behold. If you see anything else that I don't already have a link for, let me know in the comments so I can add it. I hope these affiliate links will help encourage you to take this on as a hobby or even start flipping bikes for a living like I do. I think I just finished up this wheel. So like I said, I just use Behold, the cheap stuff. And it's a polish and kind of leaves a little wax behind. Actually, if you spray it and let it sit, things really shine up. This bike could use that, but it doesn't last forever. It's probably not worth it. Then we can start turning this thing back into a bicycle. It's always an awkward camera angle for back here. I'm gonna drop a little bit of lube down in the pivots here and just kind of all around on this brake. It's only pulling from this side. So I'm gonna double check, make sure I got the wheel in, the dropout's right. That's always a good idea, just to double check your work as you go. Especially when you come across something. So I'm adding a little bit of tension to the right side. That's a little too much. So it was just off a smidge. Pretty standard. Okay, we're gonna add a little back here. Takes a couple tries. Make sure nothing's rubbing. That looks pretty good. And put an end on it. Now the front brake, when we replaced the fork, I don't know what kind of cable hanger was on this bike before. I pulled this one out of my bins, but this cable needs to be replaced. It's just not long enough. So take everything off. The housing's the right length, but the cable is way too short. So we'll just replace it. Get that out of there. So a new cable goes in. I'm doing this blind. Oh, man. There. Do it that way. It's a really nice piece of Shimano brake housing and a brand new slick cable. With a little bit of tri-flow on there, this will never, ever need lubing again. Perfect forever. I don't know if that's true, but it's probably pretty close to being true. Wouldn't surprise me. Fish this guy through. Squeeze, let a little out, tighten her down. And then this guy gets put in its home. Okay, that's a lot of travel. So you see how when you squeeze these brakes up, those cantilevers are kind of angled inwards on each other? I'm not a big fan of that. I think I'm gonna move the pads in. I think that's the better option here. One recurring comment that I see that I'm not surprised to have learned this in the comment section is that people find adjusting cantilever brakes difficult, and it is. And I'm really good at it, I think, compared to the average bear, because when I was learning how to do all this, it was kind of the normal thing. Like V-brakes were kind of new on the scene, the linear pull brakes. And so I've done a whole bunch of these, a lot of different kinds. So I got a method. I'm not really sure I know how to describe it, but I put my 5mm in here and then the 10mm on this side, and I loosen it. And it's a matter of getting things so it moves but not too much. And then I put the pad right against the rim, and then without moving anything, try to tighten it down. So I'm trying to hold my right hand as still as possible and keep everything from moving. And it did anyway, but I'm not completely tight yet, so I can manhandle it into place. Then I check the angle and it's way off. So I try again. And sometimes I wrestle with it for a while, but not any more than a disc brake, I tell you that much. I think I futz with disc brakes bullshit way more often than this. I mean, cheap old disc brakes are the worst to deal with. Okay, so now I've got to let a little bit of cable out. That's way better. Way better. Look at that. Huh? Magic. Few things as satisfying as a properly adjusted cantilever brake. Love it. If Park Tool's watching, make this one tool. Make a really nice cable cutter with a crimper on it. I know it exists, but it's not that nice. You know, make this cable cutter part down in here, you know, so it does both. Anyway. I don't know if those guys are still watching me. Make a little bit of a tweak there. I just added a little bit of tension to that side. Can't improve that. So these pedals are really rusty. I'm just gonna drop Tri-Flow all over them. I could replace them. Let's replace them. I have some cheapo pedals. This is where I like rack my knuckles or smash my thumb and get a new thumbnail like I did a couple months ago. Just because I decide to go this extra mile when I don't need to. I'm gonna bust my chin. Yikes. The Persuader. Get a good angle on it here. There we go. Whoa. Wrong way, folks. There we go. Okay, so I got these new platform pedals. These are cheapo good enoughies. I like to go through and put a little bit of Tri-Flow on bolt heads just all over the bike. If there's any rust that has formed in the bolt heads, it kind of turns it darker and makes it a little less noticeable and prevents more from forming. But ultimately, you know, we're just trying to prevent more or any from forming. So I do this on new bikes too. Little trick I learned way back in the day. That's a pretty nice bike. So this one, you know, it's rare that I have more than $100 into a bike. This one has been sitting around with this fork issue that I don't even remember how it started for a very long time. So there's some cost associated with that. I don't know how much cost. But anyway, if you figure I got $100 into it, maybe $10 in these pedals, you know, a little bit of labor from the whole fork thing. So we're at like $250. You know, we're kind of pushing it with this bike, I think, because there's no suspension fork. I haven't really done like new tires or any of that. I'd be comfortable at $299 on this bike. You know, my used bikes, I tell people they start around $300. I do have some 200-buckers out there, but you know, if it had a suspension fork and was a little bit nicer, aluminum frame, 8-speed or higher, you know, I'd be at $399. So $300 on this, but out of pocket, all I've got is like $110. So it's good profit. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on this. It hasn't been that, you know, it's a project that's been sitting. They're not all this complicated. A lot of them are a lot easier. I make more money on some bikes and less on others, but it all averages out to, you know, I try to make $100 a bike, $150 a bike if I can, but sometimes I make $300 on a bike. So I don't know what else to say about it. Works great. It's a very serviceable, very durable, very good bike for any kid. Certainly 300 bucks spent here on this bike is way smarter money than 300 bucks spent on a Walmart bike. And that's my goal. This whole YouTube channel thing that I got going is a game changer for me. I love doing it. I really appreciate everybody watching and your comments and the community that's built up around it. All of that's great, but I have to get paid for it. So you've already done a great job by watching till the end. That's the number one thing. The watch hours, the algorithm likes it. Everybody likes that. So thank you very much. If you haven't clicked the like button, that helps too. Subscribe if you haven't. The best way you can support me and go above and beyond the AdSense money, which is there, but it's not enough, is give me a super thanks, even $5. You know, if I get $5 from 20 people, well, that's $100. That helps me out this month. So $5 super thanks, 20 if you got it, that'd be great. You can consider being a monthly member of the channel. You get a little star by your name. If you ask questions in the comments, I'm more likely to see it and respond. And every once in a while I post things just for members. I'm not real good about doing that. I should do that more. You know, just stuff from my phone or something. But yeah, become a member. It's basically Patreon, only it's all within YouTube. So it's a lot simpler. And that money goes straight to me too. So, appreciate you watching this far. Of course, over all of that stuff for yourself, don't forget to click that notification bell so you and your bike can stay tuned.